Good evening. Welcome to Lodi in the World. I'm Blaze, and tonight I am sitting with Doug Meek. This is where I sit down and I talk with local leaders and influential individuals about what's going on in the Lodi Valley and how it relates to the world at large. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Brew-B-Que. And y'all know what it is. It's our big festival. We have ribs, we have craft beers, we've got salsa. It is block party in Lodi.
Main Street Lodi.
Main Street Lodi. This is the one time now in the year that we actually close down Main Street for the day.
Correct. And have that block party on the Main Street where you can walk around and drink a beer and shop.
I know there were a few people at s02e Days who were like, "Oh, I have to stay in the beer tent." It's like, oh yeah, there are rules and we got to get permission and such.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to start with one of the questions that I hear a lot, which is, what's the big deal about closing down Main Street? It's Main Street.
Interesting question. Yeah, we could probably do this event. There's been talk in the past of having the event at the fairgrounds. Limitless, entries or vendors coming in, space. But there's something about having it on Main Street Lodi by the s02e Duck Bridge, overlooking Spring Creek, that just brings people in, and the attractiveness of that is what I think keeps that event really alive with people and those that are competitors.
But why don't we close down Main Street for more events?
Well, for one thing, I think it's a state highway, so obviously there's permission that has to be gotten from the state DOT to do that, and then you have to detour traffic around that event and that location. So there's a lot more logistics behind just the simple closing of the street.
Yeah. How did Brew-B-Que start? What's the impetus behind it?
That precedes me in terms of my chamber affiliation or directly the event chairman of the Brew event. But I have to believe that it was probably a discussion amongst some rib cookers in the area saying, I think my ribs might be better than yours, and bragging rights, and maybe it escalated to the point that well, let's see, let's try it, let's do a little competition, and that's my story. I'm gonna stick with it, but I will try to find out the history on it, because it's kind of intriguing to me now that I think a little bit more about it. But that has now escalated to, as you indicated, the homebrew, where competitors will brew up their secret batch of beers and compete for prizes, for awards, bragging rights, limitless internet fame and fortune, as I think we put on the entry form here. So. Yeah,
and you get people from all over coming up to compete, because a couple of years ago I was down walking the streets and it was like, there's people from Chicago area, there's people from all over the state. How much do you advertise this yourself, and how much is just people know about it?
Obviously now we have to blast it out on social media, Facebook and those type of posts. And I think we had a board meeting today, and I was awed by the amount of hits that are out there on the social media Facebook page about Brew, and the interest that's being generated out there about the event. Obviously it wasn't that way all the time. So you had to advertise it in the paper and word of mouth, and put the flyers out, hang the banners. In fact, years ago, there used to be a large across the street banner from building to building across Main Street advertising the event.
And you don't need that anymore.
And we don't need it, nor do I think we are allowed to do that anymore. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I think that they kiboshed that some years ago as maybe the buildings aged and maybe they couldn't support some of that the weight or the wind whipping against that banner.
I know that, again, Main Street is a state highway, and anything that you do there, you need permission. So I know that putting banners up was something, it's like, well, that crosses the road. We got to get permission.
Exactly.
Right now, we're 2 weeks away. 2.5 weeks away.
Not that. We're like 10 days.
10 days. Oh, okay.
September 18th.
September 18th. All right. How many rib cookers do we have? How many brewers do we have? You've got a salsa competition.
Salsa competition.
Which I'm going to say this on a personal note. I thought about, getting into the salsa competition, but it has to be cooked.
That's a COVID, related requirement, just to make sure that everything is as safe as we can possibly have for the event. So
that's not a normal thing.
That's not a normal thing. No, there's fresh salsas that I prefer a fresh salsa, but obviously now we're trying to again just have some safety nets in there and make sure that it's a good event that.
Okay, well, I'll be looking for next year.
Okay.
Okay. So back to the question: how many participants do you have?
As we indicated, we have the rib competition event. We have the homebrew event, salsa, a chili cook-off, and a canned pickle competition, newly added this year.
I was going to say that's new.
And that was added just as a everybody's canning pickles now or fall produce, summer produce. So maybe we throw out. Everybody likes pickles, so a pickle competition.
Let's go to the pickles for a second. I'm thrown off by that. Is any kind of pickle?
There are no requirements for the type of pickle. They can be bread and butter. They can be the dill. They could be a hot dill. They could be a garlic dill. Whatever your secret grandma recipe is for canning pickles or preparing pickles, and entered. And again, those that have an allergy, we ask that you identify in the form if there were something that somebody might be, some of the chili and salsa, maybe there's a nut allergy. So just note on there or note the type. Is it a hot dill that you're going to bite in and sizzle your mouth, or is it the milder or bread and butter that you're going to like? So.
All right. Okay. So how many rib cookers do we have? How many brewers do we have? How many salsa people? What's the population of the competitors?
Okay. Ideally, when we go into the event, I strive to get 18 rib competitors in the event.
Oh my.
And that would allow us to close off all of Main Street Lodi from the four corners, and the rib competitors would be from the four corners to about City Hall location. About each parking space, a 10 by 20 parking space is what we would allow for a rib competitor.
And how many have signed up?
Right now we have 15. So
I bought a VIP ticket so I can be a judge, which means I'm going to be really full that day, and that doesn't include the beer and salsa.
You bet. We'll talk more about the VIP because that is, and I want to change that to not a VIP ticket, but a VIP passport, because it's really more than just a ticket. It's an entry. It's obviously it's a little bit about the chamber. Maybe a first exposure to a chamber event. It's your passport to all the activities of the day, all the various competitions. you are allowed to be a judge for that.
Okay, so what does the VIP? I just bought it because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be there anyway, reporting. I might as well, get to eat all the ribs and the salsa and the beer and comment on it. What all does that VIP ticket entail?
Okay.
What do I get?
Each VIP ticket, which costs $50,
Yep,
allows you to come to judge, sample, and if I think of 18 rib competitors, I would liken it to an east and west side of Main Street, and we try and sell 100 VIP tickets.
okay.
Okay, which means that a rib competitor comes into the competition knowing that they have to prepare 6 to 7 racks of ribs. 1 rack of ribs for the judges for the competition, and the other 6 plus for the VIP tickets. So a VIP ticket will allow you to get a bone off a rib from side A or side B, east or west side of Main Street.
So I don't get all of them.
You don't get all of them.
I get half. Oh,
You get
now
half.
I'm disappointed.
You get half of them, and ideally, I'd like to be able to say it would allow you to get both sample off both sides, but some of the competitors don't have capacity to cook that many racks of ribs. And again, if you dissect a rack of ribs and there's 8 or 9 bones on a rack. 6 racks is 45 to 50 bones or samples, and that's what that competitor would have for VIP.
So
giveaway.
Only the VIPs get the ribs.
Correct.
Ooh, now
Correct.
I feel special.
Correct. And again, that's because capacity of the rib cookers does not allow them to, nor do they have the sales, the outside food licensing to be able to sell them to the public.
Oh.
So they're operating under the umbrella of the chamber brew event to give out a bone of ribs for judging without collecting money. So they're under the food licensing of the chamber or the.
So how do the rib cookers make any money?
Cash prizes, first, second, third, and fourth. And then people's choice. So the judges that we have lined up, and they're secret judges, not to be revealed, will secretly go into a room and they will sample, judge all 18 or 15 competitor ribs.
So if I'm a rib cooker, I'm coming up here and I'm sort of gambling
that you're going to win,
that I'm going to win,
and come back with at least money to pay for the day.
Is there a way that they could sell to the public, or is that just too much paperwork and too much red tape?
I think there are, in talking to some of the rib cookers, I think some of them are licensed to sell as a food truck.
Mm-hmm.
I think they call it an outside food sale license, which is different from a brick and mortar food license.
Right. So that's up to the cooker. That's not something that's about the event.
Correct.
Okay.
And I don't think most of the cookers, well, I know most of the cookers will not charge for that sample rib that they might give John Q. Public. Again, because of the collecting money or that type of thing. So it's easier to give it away,
right,
and say, hey, Blaze, here's here's one of my special ribs, and just let me know how you like it. Give me some feedback on how you think I did.
Okay, so I guess this is a misunderstanding on my point, because when I've gone there, it's been just short bursts and kind of go up, have a beer, look around, take a few pictures. What's the motivation for the public to go? If they can't eat the ribs, they're sitting there for a few hours, several hours, smelling that cooking.
I'm hoping from a cooker perspective that it's the exposure to the public for, maybe hiring me for an event that you might have coming up. I do catering. I'm sorry I don't have enough capacity to cook, ribs that I can give you, that you can buy a rack. But hey, talk to me about maybe an event that you've got coming up that I'd like to cater for you.
Okay, but as just a member of the public going out there, I bought my ticket. Okay, I'm going to Brew-B-Que. What do I get?
We have a beer garden set up with various craft beers.
So the public can drink the beer.
Public can drink the beer.
All right, we're good. We're doing good. Okay.
Right. The chamber has a food stand with prepared ribs that are cooked, that are for sale.
Okay.
In addition to a pulled pork sandwich that you could buy, a combo meal of ribs or a combo meal of the pulled pork sandwich.
What's a combo meal?
Well, a side of potato salad or coleslaw.
Okay.
A drink
along
with that sandwich.
Okay.
So yeah, the drawback and we hear it all the time is I came expecting to eat ribs from that competitor, and I can't.
Yeah.
And it's a bummer that we can't do that. And again, the licensing issue is huge with the people, because then they would be literally selling their products and unlicensed, and they're going to get trouble with the state. So the beer garden that we offer on Main Street Lodi, get a beer, walk around, talk to the cookers. You can purchase the ribs or a sandwich. I think Lodi Sausage is going to cook some brats and hamburgers earlier in the day that you can get started, jumpstart a breakfast with a brat or a hamburger from Lodi Sausage.
Get filled up before you hit the beer tent.
Exactly. And again, some of the rib competitors, the cookers, will have extra racks of ribs that they will give you a sample of.
Okay.
But you will not be able to sample all 15 or 18 rib competitors.
I can't sit down.
As John Q. Public.
Yeah.
As a VIP card holder, you will be able to sample half of the rack of or the competitors.
So that means I'm better than all of you.
Remember that $50 makes you better.
And where does that $50 go? Where does the money from all of this go?
Obviously, the Chamber of Commerce is intended to help local businesses during the pandemic or post-pandemic, struggling businesses, relocating businesses to Lodi, keeping them here, just making Lodi a welcoming place to establish a business, live, and to shop. So a lot of it is just for the benefit of businesses to retain or to entice them to locate to Lodi.
Now we've got Main Street shut down. Are the businesses on Main Street doing anything special to participate in this?
Main Street Lodi shuts down at 5 a.m. the day of the event, September 18th, 5 a.m. The Four Corners is closed heading south on Main Street. The barricades are put up. Rib cookers start entering, driving in their cook rigs about 6 o'clock. They set up and they then get everything ready to go. We do a meat inspection, and they are then ready to throw that ribs on the grill and start cooking.
But what about the actual Lodi businesses on Main Street? Are they tied into this at all?
They can be tied in if they are a sponsor of the event. And I forget if it's a gold. I think it's a gold a gold sponsor. A $500 sponsorship allows you to advertise your business on Main Street as part of the event. So if I have a brick and mortar on Main Street, I can open my business, I can take my business out as part of the foot traffic on Main Street, and advertise my business and promote my business. If you are a business, you can be open for Main Street, but we don't allow you to be part of the event advertising.
Advertising wise.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So if I'm not part of the event, I can still open up and go, hey, I'm here.
Yep.
So
And again, we have to keep the sidewalk open for traffic.
right.
So they can't bring their business out on the sidewalk. That's the real difference, I think, is it's contained within the business brick and mortar building. For the business to open the doors, a sponsor allows you to bring that out on the Main Street and advertise who you are and what you do.
Now, one of the things I like to do in these discussions is we talk about some of the details, but why do we have events like this in general? I mean, you've got the Dane Fireman's Picnic, and we've got Beer and Bratfest in Harmony Grove, and we've got all these events. Other than, of course, bringing money into the chamber and promoting the chamber members, but why do we have events like this rather than something else?
That's a good question, but obviously I'm going to answer it that an event like this allows you to see what Lodi offers. It allows you to become maybe part of the community for a day. It brings in money to the chamber, to support local businesses. Maybe the chamber sponsors a lot of events throughout the year, and a lot of it is to keep some of the chamber fees low enough that you can have businesses that will want to join the chamber. A chamber fee for the year is $200. No matter if you're a small business, a one-owner operation like Lodi Ice is for myself, or a multi-million-dollar facility that is hundreds of employees. So looking at maybe changing the structure of the fees to have a large, small, maybe based on revenue stream, based on employees, based some other factors maybe to look at.
When you're looking at what kind of event do we want to do you look at what other places do? And the Susie Days is pretty much a city festival that everybody has.
Correct, because of Susie the Duck.
Every city has their little gimmick that they celebrate, and this is their thing. Brew-B-Que is different than that. It's not a Lodi event. It's not about Lodi and something special about Lodi. Do you look at what other communities are doing? So you've got the wine walk, and there was a cocoa crawl. There's the Brew-B-Que, and there's other events that are more sort of generic, I would say. What's the draw for those, and how are we the same or different than other communities doing those kind of things?
Obviously, you look to other communities, the Sauk Prairie community, the Wanakee community, to see what kind of events they're hosting that are good events for the community, for the local businesses, and then maybe you brainstorm and say, is there another event that maybe we're missing? The Cocoa Crawl happened to be the result of having a Christmas light parade that was offered some years ago, and Cocoa Crawl just became embedded into that to say, well, maybe we do a Cocoa Crawl during the day, have the Christmas light parade at night, so that we offer something throughout the day for a family that might want to come to Lodi and just hang out and do a little shopping and have some kids activities and fun.
Now the lights parade, Christmas lights parade, that's not a chamber event, is it?
Mm-hmm.
It is? Oh, okay.
It's in. I said embedded, incorporated into the Cocoa Crawl. It is. Well, I'm hoping I'm correct in that. I should look before I speak.
All right.
But yeah,
because I had, and maybe I was misunderstanding that I had thought that the lights parade was not an officially sponsored chamber event, and this may be me misunderstanding.
or it could be me misunderstanding too.
Well, that's something. All right, that's something we will look into
For the record,
and we'll find out. Because that was just interesting. If it's not a chamber event, that the chamber and other groups are able to work together for something.
yeah.
Now, you say you look at SOC, you look at Wanakee. Do you ever look farther? What's going on in California or New York or Toronto or Sydney, Australia? Do you ever look out there, really look out there and go, what can Lodi do?
I personally don't. I think I look back to when I was growing up. Lodi is I don't know if I say it's a German-based community, but there's a lot of ethnicity here that the roots have been developed, and maybe Oktoberfest from Germany, Munich, it came over to Lodi, and we have obviously some German connection there. So that was an outpouring of the Oktoberfest in Germany.
I spent 6 years in China, and where I was, the one city, Taizong, was heavily German. When I say heavily, there were probably, out of the million people there were a couple hundred Germans, which was significant. But they have an annual beer festival, and the other city I lived in, Kunshan, which has a couple Germans. They have a beer festival. The largest beer festival in the world is in Qingdao, China, and it is 4 million people. So Oktoberfest is all over the world, and that's something. Has the chamber ever looked at sort of bringing in other sorts of things? We've got the Germans and the Norwegians here. What about other festivals from around the world that could inspire something here?
Obviously a possibility, but the one thing is does the chamber want to appear to be event driven, or do we want to be more accessible to our businesses? And that's kind of the fine line of and I know next week you're going to have Melissa, our chamber president, talking. The fine line of the balance between, the events that we have. Do we have too many? Do we have too few? Is there things that we're missing? That it's kind of scattered throughout the year, that maybe every other month there's an event that you can attend with affiliation with the chamber.
Okay, so you're not looking to be an events-driven organization.
Correct. I hope we don't appear to be an events-driven organization, but obviously we need the events to be, self-supporting.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we've got a good half hour there. What details do you have to let people know about what's going on? Can you still sign up? Can you still buy tickets? Can you still, enter your salsa and your pickles? And
you bet. We would accept day of registration for your salsa competition, for chili competition, for your pickles, provided they, again, meet the criteria that we've established. Still, I have 3 spots open for rib cookers. You can still buy VIP tickets online through the Lodi Lake Wisconsin Chamber website or at Kingfisher Yoga.
Oh, okay. That's the old dime store for those of you who have been here a while.
Ganser's 5 and dime.
Yep.
And again, we have 100 VIP tickets that we offered. I'm not sure where we are currently, but I know that when I looked, there was a good handful that had already been sold or spoken for. So
at least one was sold.
So yeah, if you're interested in the event, be sure and check out the VIP. And again, it gets you exclusive rights to the rib competitors, at least one of the 2 sides, the homebrew competitors, the chili, the salsa, and the pickles before the public gets them, So you have that lanyard around your neck and can walk around and sample. And unfortunately, the rib competitors, we pushed that out till about 2:45 because at 2:30 they have to submit the rack of ribs for their competition.
Okay.
So we want them to, satisfy that requirement first, and then the VIPs will be satisfied for their entry.
All right. Cool. So, thank you all for watching, whether live or later, and thank you, Doug, for sitting down.
Thank you for hosting. That was interesting.
Yeah, and hopefully we can have you back here for some other stuff later on.
You bet.
As we get to the end of the video, you're going to see a little circle over there that says subscribe. If you click that, you will get notifications whenever we're online, and you can go to YouTube and it'll be on your list so you can watch everything that comes up whenever you want to. And there's going to be a little box over here that's going to show you the intro video so you kind of know what we're about. So thank you all for watching. Thank you again, Doug, for being here. This has been Lodi in the World, and we will see you next week with Melissa Card, the new president of the Chamber, to talk more about the Chamber in general, what they do, and what their focus is for Lodi and how we fit in the world.
Hope to see you at Brew-B-Que.
And we're out.